unfortunately, most my fellow Muslims, they don't understand really what they mean with that they say Islam is this solution to all our problems. So the source of our problems, as
Sorry,
I know,
Abba, we
yes,
did mention a lot of solutions. The taqwa of Allah, giving zakat, all these are solutions, and this is in the Quran.
yes,
So I
brother,
don't know how
yes,
many you were listening to, but quite a few
yes.
solutions were already mentioned.
We have here with us Mujtama Rusbahani. Please
Yes.
limit your question to the topic or any observations you have. Go ahead.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum. Sorry, it's a little bit late here. I'm living in Sweden. I just tonight heard about the problem, but nothing about the solution and the source of the problem. So, because I have heard and I know many fellow Muslims, when you ask them, they say Islam is the solution and the solution to all our problems. And of course, I believe myself that Islam is the solution to all our problems. But unfortunately, most my fellow Muslims, they don't understand really what they mean with that they say Islam is this solution to all our problems. So the source of our problems, as
Sorry,
I know,
Abba, we
yes,
did mention a lot of solutions. The taqwa of Allah, giving zakat, all these are solutions, and this is in the Quran.
yes,
So I
brother,
don't know how
yes.
many you were listening to, but quite a few
Yes.
solutions were already mentioned during this.
Yes, brother. If a body has a cancer, you cannot just give painkiller. You have to get rid of the cancer, brother. The source of this all problems is Shaytan. Am I right or not?
Not necessarily. Shaitan is a part of the problem, but it's not the main.
Is your nafs.
Okay, so all right. Okay, so that's why, brother Hashim, I asked you last time. Give me a time, please. Let's open this. If Shaitan is the part of the problem, so you mean that if Shaitan doesn't exist, we still do bad deeds, then what is Shaitan's role in our life? Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so much express on Shaitan when he is not the source, the main source of all our problems?
Okay, we'll let our esteemed panelists to answer your questions. Excellent questions you asked. So, Sheikh Abdul Green or Dr. Uthman, who would like to take that question? If Shaitan is not main source of the problem, then why do we see what we see here?
Check your nafs. How about your nafs?
Hello.
Yeah, the nafs is quite important.
Yeah, no, I just
there's the nafs.
Yes, brother. Please,
please.
Please, brother.
Brother, you asked your question. Do you mind letting our panelists answer your question?
Yes. Yes, they said nafs. They said nafs.
So this is just the beginning of the answer, I understand. So if you allow them to develop their answer, I'm sure you will get your answer.
Okay, yes, please.
I think Dr. Lateef, do you want to respond to that question, inshallah?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Bismillah, Jazakallah khair for your question and for coming on the show. It's very wonderful to have you with us, Alhamdulillah. So I mean, the whole purpose, of course, of today's discussion was to try and think about what is the Islamic direction, guidance for the kind of things we're talking about, and we, Alhamdulillah, mentioned a few things. You know, there is something good in what you're saying about the fact that there is Shaytan, there is a devil, the entity, and it reminded me, in fact, of Surah Yusuf, because in Surah Yusuf, you have that the act of envy of the brothers and the fact that they deceived their father Yaqub alayhi salam. But it's interesting that in the opening page of Surah Yusuf, you read that the son Yusuf tells the father the dream, and the father says, don't tell this dream to your brothers because they will conspire against you. Then he says, "Inna shaytan is to insan adu mubin. Shaytan is to man an open enemy." Now that's important in the beginning there. Throughout the Surah Yusuf, there's a lot of events that happen. So, for example, the brothers, they throw Yusuf in the well. They're motivated by an envy. Allah in the Quran tells us that they said that our father would our father's happiness will turn to us more than it turns to the son that they believed he loved the most, which of course was Yusuf alayhi salam. Yusuf was stuck in, he found himself growing up in the new kingdom of Egypt. He's working for the minister, and a situation arises where he's entrapped in this room. And Allah in the Quran says the wife of the minister Zuleykha وَغَلَّقَتِ الْأَبْوَابِ, she locked all the doors. غَلَّقَ فَعَلَ, meaning she like double locked all the doors with a lot of deliberation. And then of course she's trying to seduce him. قَالَتْ هَيْتَ لَكَ, she says, come to me. Yusuf's response here is very meaningful because he says to her, number one, قَالَ مَعَاذَ اللَّهِ, that may God forbid such a thing, that I seek refuge with Allah, right? Number two, innahu rabbi, he, your husband, is my master. Ahsana mathwaya, he's been good to me because of course I'm working under him. And then number three, that there's no success ever for the ones who do wrong. Therefore, he's number one, conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number two, he's conscious of the rights of other human beings, meaning if I do wrong with you, it's going to be a wrong against your husband as well. And number three, the recognition that the ones who do wrong and evil are never successful. And then, of course, Yusuf alayhi salam, he's now in a position of power and authority. He can act, of course, in a way like people, when they have power, they can act like as despotic people, despotic rulers, as people who are authoritarian and proud. But Yusuf alayhi salam doesn't exhibit those tendencies. He's exhibiting mercy and care. So when the brothers are now dependent on food, they, of course, they have to go to him. And it goes back now to your first point about Shaytan, by the way, because now Yusuf alayhi salam, he's gone through all of this. It's decades have passed, life experiences, but now the brothers come back to him, and he knows it's them. And I'm just summarizing very much the story, but they say, قال إنك لأنت يوسف, are you Yusuf? قال أنا يوسف, I am Yusuf. وهذا أخي, this Benjamin, small one, is my brother. Then he says, إنه, whoever, إنه من يتقي ويصبر, whoever has taqwa, consciousness, fear of Allah, and is patient, then Allah does not waste the reward of the doers of good. Meaning, he also is responsible for acting on the divine guidance. So Shaytan is always there. Yaqub reminded him right from the very beginning, his father, Shaytan is going to be there. He's going to meddle in your affairs, and he's an enemy to man. Number two, Yusuf has to act on the divine principles, on the values of the divine guidance, by being patient, by having taqwa, by opting for mercy as opposed to punishment. See, he says to his brothers, قَالَ لَا تَثْرِيبَ عَلَيْكُمْ الْيَوْمِ, there's no blame on you today. يَغْفِرُ لَكُمْ, Allah would forgive you. Allah is merciful, forgiving. But then I'll tell you one thing. By the end of it, end of Surah Yusuf, what happens? So there's a reconciliation, right? The father, the brothers, Yusuf, they all come back together, and he says to his brothers that Shaytan, caused this friction between us, right? And it's so powerful because it's a reminder that, and it's also it's a lot of wisdom in it as well, because it's like telling him that if Yusuf had said to his brothers that you did evil to me today, it would have really affected the success of the reconciliation, because human ego would have set in. But by saying, therefore, that Shaytan was the instigator in this, it just allows them to turn their attention on that main culprit, main enemy. So therefore, Allah in the Quran is telling us in the beginning, just like Allah told Adam and his wife, that in the hada aduwwun laka wa li zawjik, this is your enemy and this is your wife's enemy. Do not let him therefore expel you both from the garden, fatashqa, and then you're going to become miserable if that happens. When Allah then says to us as the sons of Adam that don't be think about what happened to your father Adam when Shaytan caused them both to be expelled from the garden. So of course we always have this instigator, this satanic force operating in our lives, but there's also of course the responsibility we have for protection of our own consciousness, of our own hearts, of our own mind, of our own sense, of our nafs. We have desires, of course, around us. And of course, just like Surah Yusuf is showing us, the strength of a person's faith is about how well he's able to ward himself away from these and be patient, in these different circumstances. And Allah knows best. Jazakumullah khairan.
Jazakallah khairan.
May I please?
So I hope that answers your question, brother. Thank you for joining.
No, brother, please, brother Hashim.